Well, today, what I want to do is to replow some old ideas, but they're good ideas and they can help us, and it's good to revisit things. And I'm going to be talking about the body-mind connection. And by the way, experts tell us that if we get up in the morning and there we are standing in front of the mirror, brushing our teeth or combing our hair, and we smile and we say to ourselves, "This is the day which the Lord hath made. I will rejoice and be glad in it." It can make the difference. It can make a wonderful difference, a measurable difference in your mental state throughout the whole day. Now, we should not wait until we feel great to smile. We should smile first, and then that will get the juices going, and we'll begin to feel great. Isn't that interesting, that body-mind connection? It's immediate, it's complete, and we can use it any time of the day to make things better, whatever the circumstances we're in. The old saying, fake it until you make it. It's absolutely true. You pretend it, and then all of a sudden you are it. Yeah. Certainly you smile, and you relax physically, and take a couple of deep breaths, and look for the good in your life. You'll find it, because there is so much of it. And in just a few minutes, if you felt so-so before, you'll start feeling good. Calmer, happier, much better than you were before. Body-mind connection, use it. It's there to be used in a powerful and positive way. A man by the name of Bill Walsh was the football coach for the San Francisco 49ers for 10 or 11 years, I believe. He won, with his team, of course, 3 Super Bowls. And while he was their coach, he said that, it was said rather of him, that this was one of the best minds in the professional football. He was the originator of the famous West Coast offense that seemed to win a lot of games. Walsh wrote a book, and it's called Building a Champion, and he had said something interesting in it, and it has to do with this body-mind connection. He said that when a wildebeest or a zebra is trapped by a lion, the trapped animal will just submit to the inevitable. Its head just drops, its eyes glaze over, it stands motionless, and it just accepts its fate. Walsh went on to say that when people are in adversity, when they are having difficulties, many of them adopt exactly the same behavior. He calls it the posture of defeat, and everybody knows it. You can walk down the street and see people defeated because their chin is down, their head is dropped, their shoulders are slumped over, their arms just hang limply. This posture, he said, is often visible in players who leave the field in the later stages of a game that they know that they have lost. And he pointed this out over and over to his players. He always used this example from nature about the wildebeests and the zebras, and they became very sensitive to that whole idea. Walsh told them that they should never let this happen to them, and they didn't. He said that even in the most impossible situation, you stand tall. You keep your head up and your shoulders back, and keep moving, keep running, looking up, and showing your dignity, your pride, and your defiance, your certainty. It's going to be okay. It paid off. It paid off big time for these people. In the second season that he was the coach of the 49ers, they were losing to the New Orleans Saints at halftime 35-7. Now, if they didn't walk off with their heads down ever, they would have been, wouldn't they? But do you know, by the end of the game, and they had overtime that day, the 49ers won 38-35. 29 unanswered points. Wow. They could have given up at halftime, and they would have been defeated. But they didn't give up at halftime. Keep your head up. Keep your shoulders back. Keep moving. Keep looking up. Show your pride, your dignity, and your defiance. His words paid off big time. Big time. Actually, the 49ers rose from the cellar of the NFL to the top of the NFL in 2 years. 2 years. Oh, of course, his coaching was great. But it was also the attitude that he taught that helped to bring that off. That's the attitude that we want to incorporate into our thinking, into our living. That's the body-mind connection. How you talk and walk and act, what your face says, is going to be incorporated into everything you do. Posture produces performance, they say. And I'd buy that. You slump your shoulders, you look at the floor long enough, and you're going to end up feeling defeated and despairing and depressed. Can't do that. No way, cannot do that. We stand tall. We are children of God. We are His hands and feet and voices. We are God's child right here, right now. We need to smile every morning, and as we look in the mirror and brush our teeth, say, "This is the day the Lord hath made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it, and it's going to be a wonderful day for me." You set the tone for the whole day. You keep remembering that. You could put a note on your bathroom mirror if you want to. It'll help you to make every day a good day. Now, just a couple of verses before that particular verse, this is the day, in Psalm 118, there are the words, "The stone which the builders rejected is become the headstone of the corner." Now, this verse might have come out of an ancient Jewish legend that when they were building the great temple in Jerusalem, many of the stones, they brought enormous numbers of stones for the building. And one of the large stones that was selected for building the temple was just the wrong size and the wrong shape. It was put over with the other rejected stones. But the time finally came to lay the cornerstone of the temple. It had to be chosen with great care, really, because its position was at a critical corner of the building. And if that was faulty, the foundation would not be secure, and the whole building could be unsound and could come tumbling down. They do have earthquakes in that part of the world. But to the surprise of the builders, they discovered that the stone that had been initially rejected was exactly the right size and the right dimensions. It fit just exactly where it should. It became the cornerstone. Now, in most Christian churches, this verse is regarded as one of the messianic prophecies. In other words, one of the prophecies that pointed to Jesus coming and being the Messiah. Jesus, who was rejected by the Jews, like the builders rejected the stone, Jesus, who was rejected by the Jews, became the cornerstone, the one who provided the perfect foundation for the whole structure of Christianity. But, there is more than one way to interpret a Bible verse. And when we think about it, we can interpret it in a different way. We can apply that verse to ourselves. The stone which the builders rejected has become the headstone of the corner. Now, if we ask, who are the builders? Who are the builders in our lives? And, of course, we in divine science always answer, I'm the builder of my own life. Not somebody else, me. I'm the one. It's my decisions and my attitudes. It's my fears, my negative judgments, my feelings of inadequacy or perhaps or resentment on the one hand. But then on the other hand, it's also my faith. It's my trust in God. It's patience and persistence in acting on and incorporating spiritual truths that I know into my life and into my interaction with other people. It's my certainty that God and good are synonymous, and God and good are right here, right where I am. God is present everywhere, in everything, and so is good. These are the thoughts and beliefs that can build the temple of our everyday experience, day by day. We are the builders. So, well then, what is this misshapen stone that we have rejected? Well, that stone is the most persistent, the biggest, the most upsetting problem we have. It's the most frustrating. It's this massive juggernaut in our lives, and it's the stumbling block. We fall over it all the time. What the writer of Proverbs might be saying to us is that perhaps we need to take a harder look at that difficulty and consider that it might well be a potential cornerstone for us. It's sad but true, but we seem to learn the most from our most painful experiences in life. Usually, though, we only realize the blessings that were in that awful experience quite a bit later, sort of in retrospect. But many people's experience is that by trying times, they can be life-changing in a most positive and remarkable way. I've read it, I've heard it. Cancer was the best thing that ever happened to me. Say again? Why would you say that? Because it gave those people a new view of life. It gave them an understanding of really what was important in life and what wasn't important. It gave life, their families, their work, their friends, God, another deeper, more satisfying meaning in their lives. It provided spiritual growth for these people. They were different afterwards. Now, when we think about any event, person, situation, maybe a condition that we have right now or are or have in the past massively rejected, should we perhaps think for a moment and ask ourselves, could this be our teacher? Could I learn something from this? Could this situation, person, whatever condition, could this be a lesson that I could never get in any other way? An understanding that I would have never gotten except through this. Instead of a stumbling block, could this possibly be a stepping stone? A stepping stone to knowing a greater truth about myself and about life. And nothing like experience to teach you. Nothing like it. Could the lesson that we need to learn is that we have to more consistently practice the presence of God, not carry the weight of the world on our shoulders? Could just remembering that God is in the midst of us, this energy, this tissue of energy that we walk around in, is God energy? Is that what we need to learn. Time after time, people have found that giving up, just stopping this fantasy that we can do it with our own resources, our own body, mind, or intellect, or whatever, our money, and instead depend completely on God, this has had tremendous results in the past. Is that the lesson that we need to take from this experience or person or condition? The psalmist promises us, this is the Lord's doing. It is marvelous in our eyes. He's assuring us that God is active. God is involved. God is doing 24/7. God is doing. God is helping us in the most subtle but most marvelous ways when we turn to Him. Could the lesson be that we need to learn a little more compassion for some difficult person in our lives? Is that it? Compassion for the many painful lessons that they're going to have to learn. Could we even find some sadness in our heart rather than anger toward them for the pain they've sown, but the pain that they are definitely going to have to reap? Couldn't a greater inner freedom and peace be our reward for seeing them as truly who they are? They are our brothers and they are our sisters in God. They are in the process of making mistakes, but they will learn. They will learn through those mistakes. And don't we all intuitively, somewhere down deep, know that we are inseparably connected to them and to everyone else, to God, to everything? Of course we are. We know it intuitively. We open the paper and somebody lost their job. Oh. Or what happened to that child? Oh. Or somebody's taking such good care of that garden. Or what a great recipe. We're taking it in. We are absorbing it because we are connected. As Jane said, we're part of the tapestry. And you cannot move one thread without moving all the others. We have to see if we can't make that stumbling block that we rejected into a cornerstone, a more firm foundation for the spiritual truth, the truth that self-forgiveness, forgiveness of others, compassion, patience, trust, and an omnipresent God will always bring blessed results. So, I'm wrapping up now. Here we find just these few verses in the 118th Psalm, and they really contain some amazing gifts for us. This is the day which the Lord hath made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Yeah, reminds us of the body-mind connection. Keep using that. Oh, it's valuable. And it's instant and constant. Whatever's going through our minds, what we're saying, it's internalized. We stand up straight, we keep our head up, we smile when we look in the mirror, yes, and we say, this is the day, yes. Because that's the way to start the day and start transforming our problems, our stumbling blocks, into cornerstones. And if you say, this is the day that the Lord hath made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it, and then you add that line from the hymn, here am I, Lord, use me. What do you need? How can I help? If we say that, and we really, really mean it, we will find opportunities to help. to be used. We will become partners and co-creators with God Himself, bringing greater good into every day for ourselves and everyone we touch. And what could be better than that?